and welcome back to the Ground and Pound Show. Sorry I missed a portion of that first segment, but it sounds like you guys had a real good talk with Jamie Pennick from MMA Torch.
Once I got the phone working.
Well, Jim, you know, it's a very sophisticated
Once I realized he agreed
Phones
with
are
me.
pretty new.
That made it better.
It's a new technology, Jim. You'll get used to it.
Didn't have a dial thing on a rotary.
Didn't have a big speaker on the button.
I never use speakerphone. It's just so pretentious. I don't even know where it is on my own phone at home.
You could have just repeated what he said, so Jamie, and then, you know, talk for him.
Yeah. And I had my own opinions, too, and just put his name on it. No, he's a wealth of knowledge, and if you guys haven't checked out MMA Torch, you need to. We really appreciate the input that he gives us on the national and international level every week. So it's good of him to spend his time talking to us. And I hear when we go to our new day that he's going to be joining us a little later and maybe spend a little more time with us.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. And
That's
they'll
great.
be coming on after 10 o'clock. He and his wife they're expecting a baby, so they have expecting baby classes up until about 9:30.
And then he thinks he'll have time?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's got another thing coming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but congratulations to them.
I was going to say that's what happens when you spend, when you have your own business from home and your wife's, and you both work from home.
Yeah, that's what happens.
That's what happens. You start making babies.
That's exactly what happens.
Somebody needs to get out of the house and get a different job.
So we got Brad Wick from Combat Sports Commission is going to be calling in just a few minutes here. But until then, I understand in the first part of the show, I guess you talked about UFC 104.
Briefly.
Jay wants to keep going. He's riled up with us.
We gotten off the first fight, or are we still talking about the first fight?
No, we got on the first fight off just that one, and we pretty much talked about Brock Lesnar a little bit. But, you know, and how it's, people around here are getting the flu, too, and local promoters are suffering the same thing, having to reschedule guys. And
yeah, but so, you know, after, or at least during the time that Brock was supposed to have this flu, he was spotted at a Vikings game in Minnesota.
Yeah.
You feel better some days, and, you know, some days you don't.
Right.
Oh, you can still watch a game, doesn't mean you can play the game.
Well, yeah.
There's a big difference.
You know what? I'll tell you what.
You're ducking a fight because you're sick, and hey, if it's legit, it's legit.
But whose game?
Don't get caught partying at a
They're
Vikings
nuts for football. And he played for them. He was going to be on that team, wasn't he?
So the motorcycle wreck, they said he had a good chance of making the team, maybe.
He was the next guy.
Come on, he ain't even half the line.
Yeah, well, still, there's a lot of technique in football, you know. It's just a different sport, a different thing. You know, we're seeing that right now, that not all football players can fight MMA.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah, you're saying that on Tough Show.
So what else was happening at the UFC, Jay, that you wanted to talk about? What else?
Well, other fights there. I mean,
I think
that
Joe Daddy Stevenson.
That was a great fight.
What
Man, did he look good against Fisher?
Yeah, he did.
I don't know what Fisher wanted to fight him for.
Well,
I thought
Fisher's tough, man.
The thing is,
It was a
Fisher
decent
really
fight.
wanted this fight.
Joe Daddy
was tough.
Joe's lost half of his, you know, I mean, what is he, 2-2 in his last 4 or something? So he's.
Yeah, but he's in Jackson's camp now. So.
But he's beatable in a name that Fisher could have jumped ahead of, and it might have been the right
That
time.
was a big jump for Fisher. He had every right.
It was a good time to try.
Fisher was a tough guy.
He's in the running for a title shot.
Right. It was a good time to take that. You know, I mean, you're not talking about a guy who's won 5 in a row and is looking invincible. He's looked very.
Well, that night it looked like a bad choice.
Yeah.
And Dana made sure he made it very clear he asked for that fight. I didn't put it because he didn't want to make it look like Joe got an easy fight.
Right.
You know.
Upon reflection,
Spencer wanted it.
Spencer may have a different view.
Right. So that was an interesting fight there. We were talking about Anthony Hardon versus Pat Barry. That was an interesting one. That was an upset.
Two kickboxers that really were, put on a good fight.
Hardon's supposed to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and when they went to the ground for the short time that they did, Barry controlled.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Barry just looked like a stud out there, really. I mean, did you see him come out in the second round and the way he was just tagging him with those punches? He had his timing down.
Oh, it was unbelievable. He had kicks that were unbelievably hard.
They knew when they matched those two guys, two world-class strikers, that they were going to have a really good match. I mean, it was going to be a fan exciting.
Tony looked stiff and he didn't look like a world-class striker to me that night.
Right.
Even though he's supposed to be very, very good, I was a little disappointed that he was standing straight up. His chin was up. He didn't have the movement or anything. Barry looked so much better.
He really did.
He really looked outclassed him completely.
Hardon didn't look like a major kickboxer.
No.
Not world
No,
class.
he looked out of his element.
Yeah.
And I was a little disappointed. I expected this really good kickboxing match, and I didn't expect Pat Barry to be so good. But Pat Berry got, what did he get, the fight of the night? No.
Yeah.
He did, I think he got the,
And knockout, I think.
Yeah, knockout.
About 120 grand, they said.
I guess Johnson couldn't get.
He was not
the-
eligible because of the weight thing, they said.
That makes sense.
I think that's gonna be Brad Wick calling us from Combat Sports Commission.
Jim, you could have figured it out much better than that right there.
Well, there's only 3 people that call us, so no. It wasn't hard.
I was just getting ready to say, you guys, I was getting onto the website and it was actually kind of full. I was like, man, maybe they've got more than 100 listeners tonight.
Yeah, it says that we have 50,000 people listening live right now. If you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you.
I'm glad we got at least a startup group like your guys around because you guys are doing a fantastic job and I love listening to you guys. So
Well,
you guys make it interesting to listen to.
we'll toot our horn. We might not get many live listeners, but we're going head to head with the UFC's program on Spike, and then but we are getting close to 1,000 people checking out the web or the podcast later on in the week on the website. So that's all good.
And next week we're starting a new time slot next week, Tuesdays at 9 o'clock.
Awesome.
Right after Happy
You
Days.
were talking about the last UFC show, I take it, weren't you?
Oh yeah, what'd you think about that?
The UFC 10?
I'm gonna tell you what. When I was trying to talk about last week before I know I had short time last week, but you guys' prediction on that Makita fight, man, I had it differently. I went back and looked at a lot of the stats and a lot of the records that Makita fought compared to Shogun Rua, and I always thought that Shogun's got a very high knockout percentage. And which, 9 times out of 10, you look at this good stand-up fighter, and if Machida stayed up standing with him, it was going to be a tough fight. And I think Shogun showed it. I think the decision was a little bit crazy. I think it could have gone the other way, but it was a very good, close fight, and I think it was what everybody paid to see.
I think Jamie Pennick was right from MMA Torch where he said we probably saw the best Hua we're going to see. And with the best plan, but we didn't see the best Machida that night. And when they rematch, it's going to be different.
I
think Machida's going to decide not to stay standing up with a guy like that next time.
I don't know what his game plan's going to be, but I thought, and I can be completely wrong, nobody's talked about it at all, so maybe I'm the only one who saw it, but Machida did not look right from the very beginning. I mean, when they showed him before walking in and everything, he looked a lot more nervous than when he was working his way up to be champ.
Well, there was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
They were talking about, if you looked at any of the footage that they were showing during the week, that he's getting pulled in every direction back home and everywhere, and everyone wants an interview now. It's the Machida era. He's the champ, and pretty soon he's not, getting to spend his time training. He's got more demands on him, as the champion, and those things put pressure on you, but we've talked about this before. You can be a baseball player and be a 300 hitter. You hit 1 out of 3 times, or 3 out of 10, and you can have an off night. But if you have an off night as a fighter, they say you're a bum all of a sudden. And every athlete has a bad night.
Everything that comes with being a champion is everything that comes along with it. And I think a lot of guys that get thrown into that spotlight real fast, like Machida did. He came up real fast right there. With the big fights before he fought Rashad, and with that big knockout right there, I think that really put him in that spotlight. Now everybody wants to talk to him. It takes away from that training time and that private time that you want. So it really affects you as a fighter, and I think what Andy was saying was correct. I think I've seen the same thing. It didn't look like him, the Machida of the past when he walked out that cage.
We had nothing to lose before, or not as much to lose, and now he's got a championship, an undefeated record, and the
Well, he also made
Machida
that
era.
statement, you're not a champ until you defend it.
Exactly.
So he felt like he wasn't a champ yet until this fight. And I tell you what, I think everybody was surprised how good Shogun came out. And Shogun came out to fight.
I think it's funny.
He wasn't impressed. He came in to fight.
We're all talking about how Machida's going to be next fight, but he won. He didn't have to do a damn thing different.
Right.
So
he did what it takes to